See, the moment you realize your worth, truly realize it, everything changes. Not just how you walk, not just how you talk, but how you move through life. Because when you know who you are, you stop auditioning for a role that was always meant to be yours. You stop begging for a seat at a table when you are the table. Too often, we get caught up trying to prove ourselves, trying to be enough for someone, bending, twisting, reshaping who we are just to fit into someone else's version of love. But let me tell you something. Love is not a game where you have to outshine, outperform, or out-sacrifice to win. Love is a mirror, and the reflection you see in that mirror is exactly what you attract. When you walk into a room, how do you carry yourself? Not just physically, but in spirit. Do you step in like you belong there, or do you shrink, hoping someone will notice you, choose you, validate you? Let me tell you, energy doesn't lie. A woman who knows her worth doesn't hope to be seen. She simply is, and the world takes notice. And that, right there, is the secret. It's not about making him chase you, making him see your value, making him commit. No, it's about being the kind of woman he can't imagine living without. Not because you're playing a part, not because you're putting on a show, but because you are rooted in something so unshakable, so undeniable, that he feels it every time he's around you. Think about the women in history who left their mark, not because they begged, not because they settled, but because they knew who they were. A woman who knows her worth is not easily swayed. She does not accept breadcrumbs when she deserves the whole feast. She does not sit in uncertainty, waiting for someone else to decide if she is worthy of commitment. She decides, and I know it's not what men truly want in a wife. Life always throws its lessons at you. People disappoint you. Love doesn't always go the way you thought it would. But every setback, every heartbreak, every moment where you questioned yourself was not meant to break you. It was meant to build you. Every time you doubted yourself, you had an opportunity to rise stronger. And the day you finally stand in the fullness of who you are, unapologetically, something incredible happens. You become the prize. Now, let's talk about him, the man who sees you, the man who wants to be with you, the man who deep down knows that a woman like you doesn't come around often. When he looks at you, he should see someone who chooses herself every single day. A woman who knows how to love, but also knows when to walk away. A woman who gives, but never at the cost of losing herself. Because here's the truth. A man might be entertained by many, but he commits to the one who makes him better, the one who doesn't need him to complete her, but inspires him to rise to the occasion. When he sees that you are whole within yourself, when he sees that your love is an addition to your life, not the foundation of your happiness, he won't just want you. He'll need you. But see, this isn't about him. This is about you. Because whether or not he ever sees your worth, whether or not he ever realizes what he had, you must know that when you truly know, when you step into your power, when you no longer fear losing someone because you have never and will never lose yourself, that's when the game changes. That's when the right man steps up, because he knows you won't wait for him to catch up. So, don't lower your standards, don't dim your light, and don't shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable. You are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are not something to be weighed, measured, and debated. You are the blessing. You are the answer. And when you finally see that, really see it, you won't have to unlock any secrets to make him beg to marry you. Because the real secret is that the right man will already know, and the wrong one never mattered anyway. Let me tell you something. Connection is not built on looks, on status, or on playing hard to get. Real connection is built on feeling. A man might be drawn to your beauty, he might admire your accomplishments, but what makes him stay, what makes him choose you over and over again, is how he feels when he's with you. See, a lot of people get caught up in what they think love should look like. They focus on chemistry, on attraction, on the surface level excitement of it all, and yes, that's all part of it. But the truth is, a man can be attracted to 100 different women. That's easy. What's rare is when he feels understood by one. What's rare is when he takes off the armor he wears for the rest of the world and just is. Because, let's be real, men are taught to be strong, to hold it together, to never show weakness. From the time they're young, they hear, "Man up, don't cry, handle it." And so they do. They learn to bury things deep, to carry the weight of expectations, and to never let the world see their cracks. But what happens when they finally meet a woman who sees beyond that? A woman who isn't fooled by the act, who isn't just impressed by what he does, but is curious about who he is. That's where the magic happens. That's where a man stops seeing you as just another person in his life and starts seeing you as his person. The one who doesn't just listen to respond, but listens to understand. The one who can tell when something is off before he even says a word. The one who doesn't demand that he always be strong, but gives him permission to be human. And that's powerful, because let me tell you, a man might not always say it, but he feels it. He feels when he's with someone who truly gets him. He feels when he's around someone who makes him want to be better, not because she expects it, but because she inspires it. He feels when he's in the presence of someone who brings peace into a world that constantly demands more from him. And when he finds that, he's not letting it go. Now I want you to think about the relationships that didn't work. Think about the moments when you were trying so hard to make it work, when you were bending, adjusting, proving your love, trying to be everything he needed. But see, love doesn't thrive in pressure. It doesn't grow in a space where someone feels like they have to perform for it. Love flourishes in freedom. And I need you to hear this. Understanding a man doesn't mean fixing him. It doesn't mean carrying his burdens while ignoring your own. It doesn't mean accepting less than you deserve in the name of patience and empathy. No, real understanding is knowing when to hold space and when to let go. It's knowing when to encourage and when to step back and let him find his own way. Because the right man, the man who is ready, won't just take from you. He'll meet you there. This isn't about making yourself smaller so he can shine. It's about creating a connection so deep that you both rise. It's about building a bond that isn't based on the fear of losing each other, but on the joy of growing together. Because when a man knows that with you he can laugh, he can cry, he can dream, he can fail, and still be loved, that's when he stops looking elsewhere. That's when he stops running from commitment and starts running toward it. So ask yourself, what kind of space do you create in a relationship? Is it a space of expectation, where love is a transaction and affection is given in exchange for security? Or is it a space of trust, of depth, of understanding? Because when a man truly feels that, he won't just stay. He'll choose you every single day. And that's the secret. It's not about convincing him to love you. It's about being the woman he knows he can't live without. Not because you demand it, but because with you, he has finally found something rare, something real. Have you ever noticed how the most captivating people in the world have this energy about them? It's not just how they look. It's not just what they say. It's how they carry themselves, how they move, how they make you feel when you're around them. There's a balance, a presence, a rhythm to them that draws you in. And that's what we're talking about right now. The art of being unshakable. The balance between strength and grace. Between knowing when to stand firm and when to let go. Because here's the truth. When you master this, when you understand how to hold both power and softness within you, you don't just attract attention, you inspire devotion. A lot of people think they have to be one or the other. They think strength means being tough all the time, never showing emotion, never bending, or they think being soft means always giving in, always compromising, always putting someone else first. But real power, real magnetism, it's in the balance. It's in knowing when to step forward and when to lean back. Think about the strongest women in history. They weren't just warriors, they were also nurturers. They knew how to lead, but they also knew how to connect. They could be fierce when the moment called for it, but they also had the ability to make people feel seen, to bring warmth into a room, to create an atmosphere of peace, even in the middle of chaos. And that's what a man feels when he's with a woman who understands this balance. He feels the power in her presence, the certainty in her walk, the confidence in the way she speaks, but he also feels the calmness in her energy, the warmth in her touch, and the kindness in her spirit. She doesn't need to demand respect. She commands it effortlessly. Now let's make this real. Let's talk about relationships. In love, this balance is everything. If you're too rigid, always trying to control, always trying to prove a point, always trying to have the last word, you create resistance. You push love away without even realizing it. But if you're too passive, if you're always bending, always accepting less than you deserve, always afraid to speak your truth, you lose yourself in the process. Neither. Our extreme feels good, and neither creates the kind of connection that lasts. Because a man doesn't just want a woman who challenges him. He wants a woman who believes in him. He doesn't just want someone who holds him accountable. He wants someone who inspires him. He doesn't just want passion, he wants peace. And you don't want a man who only desires you when things are easy. You want a man who respects you when things get hard. You want a man who values your strength, not just your beauty. You want a man who understands that you're not here to be controlled. You're not here to be tamed. You're here to build, to create, to elevate everything around you. So, how do you find that balance? How do you become the woman who embodies both power and grace? It starts with knowing yourself, with understanding that strength is not just about how loud you can be, but about how steady you can remain. That grace is not about being passive, but about choosing your battles wisely. That real confidence is not about proving anything. It's about being so sure of yourself that you no longer need to seek permission to take up space. Because when you move this way, when you carry this energy, everything changes. The way people respond to you, the way men show up for you, and most importantly, the way you feel about yourself. You stop over-explaining, you stop begging for love, and you stop trying to convince someone to see your worth. When you embody this balance, the right man won't need convincing. He'll already know. And that's the key. It's not about choosing between strength and softness. It's about mastering both. It's about becoming the kind of woman who doesn't just walk into a room. She owns it. Who doesn't just demand love. She inspires it. And when you reach that level, when you truly step into who you are, the right man won't just want you. He'll need you. Everybody wants love. Everybody wants connection. But too many people are out here searching for something they haven't even built within themselves. They want someone to complete them, someone to fill in the gap, someone to make them happy. But let me tell you something. Love doesn't work like that. You don't find happiness in another person. You bring happiness to another person. You don't wait for someone to complete you. You walk in already whole. That's the difference. That's what separates a woman who is waiting to be chosen from a woman who is the choice. Because when you step into a relationship already fulfilled, already growing, already thriving, you're not looking for someone to fix you. You're looking for someone to add to you. And that, right there, is the secret. People get it twisted. They think being single means something is missing. They think that if they're not in a relationship, then they must be lacking something or doing something wrong. But the truth is, your single years are your building years. Those are the years you get to discover who you are, what you love, and what sets your soul on fire. Those are the years you get to build the kind of life that excites you. So when the right man comes along, you're not looking for him to be your purpose. You're looking for him to walk in your purpose with you. Because that's what a man is drawn to. A woman who knows who she is. A woman who isn't sitting around waiting for love to give her life meaning. A woman who is already living, already growing, already becoming the best version of herself. Not for a man, not for a relationship, but for herself. And that's the thing. When you pour into yourself, when you invest in your growth, your mind, your spirit, your dreams, you start carrying yourself differently. You stop chasing, you stop settling, and you stop entertaining situations that don't align with your worth. Because when you know who you are, when you know where you're going, you don't allow just anyone to take up space in your life. Now, let's talk about the kind of man this attracts. A man who is serious about his future. A man who is looking for more than just a pretty face, more than just temporary excitement, is not looking for someone to fix, nor for someone who needs saving. He's looking for a woman who is elevating herself, a woman who challenges him to be better, not by demanding it, but by being better herself. That's what makes a man commit. Not pressure, not ultimatums, not fear of losing you. A man commits when he realizes he has found something he cannot afford to lose, when he recognizes that what he has in front of him is rare, when he understands that the woman standing in front of him is not just another option, she is the option. And a woman who is truly in her power, who truly knows her worth, doesn't have to convince a man of that. She doesn't chase, she doesn't beg, and she doesn't sit around waiting for someone to decide if they want her or not. She knows that the right man will recognize her value because she recognizes it herself. But that requires something difficult. It requires you to be willing to walk away from anything that does not align with the love you deserve. And that's where so many people struggle, because walking away means letting go of potential. It means letting go of the idea of what you thought things could be. It means accepting that sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, they are not your person. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But let me ask you something. What's harder, letting go of someone who is not meeting you where you need to be, or staying in something that slowly drains your spirit? Every time you accept less than you deserve, every time you tolerate inconsistency, every time you ignore your own needs just to keep somebody around, you chip away at yourself. And love is not supposed to cost you. The right man, the man who is truly ready, will not leave you questioning. He will not keep you in a place of uncertainty. He will not make you feel like you have to earn his love, because he will know, he will see, and he will recognize that what he has in you is something that cannot be replaced. So, let me tell you this. You are not here to audition for someone's love. You are not here to prove why you are worthy of being chosen. You are already worthy. You are already enough. And when you move with that understanding, when you carry yourself with that confidence, the right person will not only see it, they will honor it. Because real love isn't something you have to beg for. It's something that meets you exactly where you are. And when it's real, you won't have to chase it. You won't have to question it. You'll just know, and so will he. Final words. He will beg to marry you. You choose you without hesitation. Too many people spend their time trying to be chosen, trying to mold themselves into what they think somebody else wants, trying to be the cool girl, the understanding girl, the girl who doesn't ask for too much, who doesn't make waves, who goes along just to keep the peace. And at first, it might feel like it's working. You might think, if I just keep being patient, if I just keep showing how good I am, eventually he'll see my worth. But let me tell you something. If someone doesn't see your worth from the beginning, if they don't recognize what they have when they have it, then nothing you do is going to change that. You shouldn't have to convince anybody to love you. You shouldn't have to beg for basic respect, for effort, for commitment. Because love isn't something you force. Love is something that flows when it's right. And I know that's hard to hear when you want something to work. It's hard to accept when you've already invested so much time, so much energy, so much of yourself into trying to build something with someone. But the truth is, love is not supposed to be about convincing. It's about aligning. And when you are truly aligned with someone, there is no hesitation, no confusion, no wondering about where you stand. You want to know what makes a man want to marry a woman? It's not pressure, it's not fear, and it's not even love alone, because love by itself is not enough. No, what makes a man want to commit, what makes him need to commit, is clarity. It's the realization that he has found something he cannot afford to lose, that what he has in front of him is rare, that the woman standing in front of him is not just another option. She is the option. And a woman who is truly in her power, who truly knows her worth, doesn't have to convince a man of that. She doesn't chase, she doesn't beg, and she doesn't sit around waiting for someone to decide if they want her or not. She knows that the right man will recognize her value because she recognizes it herself. But that requires something difficult. You must be willing to walk away from anything that does not align with the love you deserve. There is nothing lonelier than being in a relationship where you're not valued, nothing lonelier than loving someone who takes you for granted. But when you stand firm, when you refuse to lower yourself for temporary attention, that's when you make room for something real. That's when the right love finds you. Because a woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't settle. She attracts, she chooses. And when the right man comes along, he won't just want her. He'll know he has to earn her. There's a moment in life when you realize that real love isn't about proving yourself. It's not about twisting, bending, or shrinking just to fit into someone else's world. It's about standing in your truth, standing in your power, and knowing that the right person will see your value. You are already worthy. You are already enough. And when you carry that energy, the right man will not only see it, he will honor it. Because real love isn't something you have to beg for. It's something that meets you exactly where you are. And when it's real, you won't have to chase it or question it. You'll just know. And so will he.